Hi, everyone. I'm Thérèse, and this is New York Girl Again, The After, the podcast for caregivers who've survived the hardest chapter of their lives and are now gathering both the courage and the strength to write the next one. I'm so grateful you've chosen to spend this time with me. November is National Family Caregivers Month. But here at New York Girl Again, we also call it the month of the Unsung Heart. And this year, our theme is The After Still Deserves Honor. This month, we're not only honoring the caregivers still in the thick of it, but also those who have walked the hardest road, the ones who carried, endured, and somehow kept going. Because caregiving doesn't end when the care does. It lingers in your heart, your body, your soul. It changes you forever. And tonight, we're talking about what it means to be seen in the after. Not as a survivor of loss, but as living proof that love can transform. You know, people often think caregiving ends with your loved one's final breath, the last goodbye. But those of us who've lived it know better. The ending isn't clean or neat. It's layered like the ocean, bringing in a new emotion with every wave. The body still remembers the midnight alarms. The heart still waits for the next frightening test result. And the mind still tries to organize a world that no longer needs managing. That's what people rarely talk about, the aftershocks of devotion. Because caregiving doesn't just take your time. It rewires your nervous system, your identity, your purpose in life. You spent months, maybe years, even decades, pouring everything you had into someone else's survival. And when that chapter closes, you don't simply return to who you were before. That version of you no longer exists. At first, it feels like tragedy, like the end. But if you can hold on long enough, it becomes transformation. The same heart that once beat for someone else still beats, only now it's learning a new rhythm, a foreign rhythm, a rhythm that finally includes you. So when I say the after still deserves honor, this is what I mean. The quiet after caregiving, the rebuilding, the relearning, the rediscovery is every bit as sacred as the years spent giving care. You've already proven your strength in the chaos. Now it's time to honor your strength in the calm. Because the after isn't an ending. It's a continuation of love, of legacy, of life itself. Your heart still feels everything. Your heart doesn't get the memo when caregiving ends. It still reacts, still listens for footsteps, still leaps out of your chest when an alarm goes off. Because that kind of love doesn't just stop. It echoes. It reverberates. You spent years tuned to someone else's rhythm, anticipating their needs, reading their moods, feeling their pain, almost as if it were your own. Your empathy became muscle memory. And when that level of attunement disappears, your system doesn't know what to do with all that space. Because now, you're left with you. And you can feel like a stranger. Almost like an alien dropped onto a planet. where self-focus feels unnatural, even uncomfortable. So you sometimes find yourself overfeeling, worrying about strangers, pouring your heart into someone else's crisis, crying over things you can't fix. People might tell you, you're too sensitive, that you're taking things too personally. But you're not. You're simply still wired to care. All that energy has nowhere to go. And that's why restlessness hums beneath your skin. But that sensitivity, it isn't your weakness. It's your brilliance. It's proof that love once moved through you so fully, it left an imprint. You don't need to silence it. You just need to redirect it. Let that same empathy become awareness of you. Notice when you're tired, when you need gentleness, when you need space. Let the same instincts that once protected someone else now protect your own peace. Because your heart was never meant to retire. It was meant to be repurposed. And that's what this season, this after, is all about. Learning to let your heart stay open, but this time to include yourself in its circle of care. You know, the world talks about strength like it's loud, like it has to roar or make headlines. But a caregiver's strength is different. It's quiet, internalized. It showed up in moments no one witnessed and no one applauded. It showed up in the way you stayed calm when everything was falling apart, in the patience you offered when exhaustion begged you to quit, in the grace you gave someone on their worst day, even when you were breaking on the inside, in the composure you held when what you really wanted was to collapse into a puddle of tears, in the humor you used to lift someone else's sadness, even when your own heart was breaking. That's the kind of strength that doesn't trend. It doesn't get parades or plaques or blurbs in your local paper. But it's the kind that keeps love alive in this world. You live through things that don't have names. You watch people you love change in ways that shattered you. You held pain you couldn't fix, and somehow you still showed up the next morning. Soft, steady, present. That's the strength no one saw. And now, in the after, it's easy to forget that version of you still exists. The one who held everything together when there was nothing left to hold. But that doesn't mean the courage left with it. It's still there, inside you. Only now, it's waiting to be used differently. Not to save someone else's time, but to save you. To rebuild you. To create something beautiful out of everything you learned. To use the same endurance that carried you through their pain to now move you forward toward your own healing. Because that strength, your strength, was not born from suffering. It was born from love. And love doesn't disappear when caregiving ends. It evolves. So what does it mean to honor the after? To honor the after is to stop rushing yourself to be over it or to move on. It's to stop treating your survival like something ordinary. You didn't just live through caregiving. You lived within it. You adapted, adjusted, endured. You built an entire second nature around someone else's needs. And when that ends, it takes time to remember what your own needs even are. Honoring the after means giving yourself permission to move slowly, to not have all the answers, to admit that peace feels strange after years of chaos. It means acknowledging that your worth didn't end when the role did. You are not a caregiver without a cause. You are a soul in transition, shifting from survival to creation. For so long, you were defined by what you gave. Now, it's time to be defined by what you become. That's what honor looks like in this season. Not trophies or recognition, but gentle rituals of self-respect. Lighting a candle and saying your own name with gratitude. Reclaiming time for joy without apology. Letting laughter count as progress. Choosing softness over productivity. Because honoring the after means recognizing that love is still happening. Only now, it happens through you. You're not closing a story. You're carrying its wisdom into what comes next. So when you feel that ache of what now, remember, this is not emptiness. This is space being cleared for what's about to grow. The after is not a void. It's a return to yourself, to your becoming, to your next beautiful beginning. So, if no one's told you this lately, you are still worthy of honor. Not because of what you did, but because of who you became through it. You walked through a chapter that most people couldn't have survived. You carried love on your back until your body broke from the weight. And still, somehow, you kept showing up. But the after, this season you're in now, it deserves reverence too. It's not the afterthought of caregiving. It's the continuation of love in a new form. So let this month, the month of the unsung heart, be your quiet coronation. You've already proven your strength in the storm. Now it's time to honor your strength in the calm. You don't owe anyone a timeline for healing. You don't need to justify your exhaustion or your joy. You don't have to go back to who you were, because who you are now is wiser, deeper, and deeply changed. And that deserves to be celebrated. So take a moment to simply acknowledge yourself with awe, because caregiving may have reshaped you, but it didn't break you. It revealed the truth of who you are. Love made resilient. This November and always, we honor you, the ones who gave, grieved, and are learning to live again. I'm Thérèse, and this is New York Girl Again, the after. If this episode spoke to your heart, please share it with someone walking their own after. Follow us at New York Girl Again on Facebook and Instagram for daily reflections from the month of the Unsung Heart. And visit NewYorkGirlAgain.com for journaling prompts, downloads, and ways to honor your own healing journey. Because love didn't end when the care did. It just found a new way to live.